thought that one of the biggest and most constant struggles that we all face as adults is, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? And the next night, and the next night, forever. Yes, meal planning seems to be a little bit of a bugbear for all adults, especially us mums. And I've got to say, before I started using my current system, I was definitely stuck in a rut of buying food, then throwing stuff out we hadn't used because it had gone off, and still never knowing what we should have for dinner. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I meal plan as a busy mum to save time, money, and ultimately my sanity. If we've not met before, hi, I am Ree from mummyof4.com. Now let's get into the tips. One of the biggest shifts for me was when I started actually setting aside time for meal planning. Now, you would think this would take more time because you're doing a thing you weren't doing before, but ultimately it's going to save a lot of time and money, and I will show you exactly how in this video. Pick a time in the week that works for you. For me, I just generally have the weekend. Sometimes I'll do this on a Saturday, sometimes I'll do this on a Sunday, depending kind of what our weekend looks like, whether the kids have birthday parties and things. I purposely steer clear of booking in actual activities that are on weekends. We used to do this, we avoid it at all costs now, things like regular swimming lessons, that kind of thing. So we have pretty flexible weekends, but do whatever works for you. Pick a night of the week that works, pick the weekend, pick a time, put it in your calendar as a recurring reminder, event, whatever that looks like, so that this time is blocked out. You're not going to need much time at all, maybe half an hour to start with, less as you get better at it, but I promise you, setting aside this time is going to change your life. The next thing that really changed the game was when I started blocking out the actual shopping times. Now, for me, this has 99.9% of the time been shopping online, even pre-COVID. I think it was baby number 3 for me that tipped it into, wow, going to the supermarket really is just not a good use of time. And then by the time I had baby number 4 and I was also working from home, I think I did one supermarket trip with the girls, ended up spending way more money. It took way more time than it needed to. So long story short, I've largely been an online shopping kind of girl for a long time, but I totally get that some people love being able to go to the supermarket and pick their own things. I have done a couple of come shop with me's, including a recent one, and there should be some more coming. So if you like that kind of thing, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. But whether you are going to shop in store or shop online, again, this kind of needs to go in your calendar. So from a shopping in store point of view, you just need to plan out when that's going to be so that you can meal plan accordingly. Now, for the shopping online, personally, I would pre-book your slots. You can do this generally up to a month in advance. If you shop with a certain supermarket, you can often save money by booking recurring delivery payments, that kind of thing. So just have a little shop around. Definitely, if you are shopping with a supermarket for the first time, you may be eligible for free delivery to incentivize you into them. But ultimately, what you need to be doing is booking the slots that you want and need, because if you leave this till the last minute, often slots that suit you will be gone. So for me, I often get groceries delivered either late Sunday night or early Monday morning so that I know we're set for the week. I therefore meal plan from a Monday to a Sunday. But really, again, this depends on you. You start your week, whichever day of the week works for you. This is just kind of how it works out in my head because I end up meal planning on a Sunday. And then I know I've got fresh stuff for snacks and whatever I need for the children for the week delivered on Monday. So in order to book your slot, what you're probably going to need to do is check out a basic basket of things. There's generally a minimum delivery amount around about the £40 mark. There's something really important you're going to have to do so you don't mess this up, and that is add in £40 worth of basics. So for me, I would just put in stuff we're always going to need, milk, bread, just stuff that I know guaranteed every single week we're going to need. And you need to top that basket up to £40 and then check out. Generally, they won't take this money out of your account, depending on the supermarket, but they won't take the money out of your account until the day of the actual delivery. So you're not actually out of pocket. But the really, really, really important thing to do is to make sure you've got an alarm set for the day before, to make sure that you have updated and checked your online delivery, to make sure you've not just got that £40 worth of stuff, but you've actually added in the extra things you're going to need to do from the meal planning. So we'll get to that point later in the video, but please, 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 if you're booking slots in advance, then you only have to do this once a month. You can set your reminder to do this once a month. Book your slots for the rest of the month, at the beginning of the month, say, or book them at the end of the month for the following month. But please, please, please set that reminder to make sure that you're not having random shopping show up that is a really incomplete delivery. Obviously, also you need to slot the actual time that you've booked the delivery into your calendar so you know that you need to be in to receive your goods. The next thing I did that really made my life easier was to brainstorm a big list of everything that my family will eat collectively. Now, you may be one of those mums where your child has eaten everything they've ever been presented with since birth. You have a husband that's not fussy, and if this is the case for you and you've not had to work really, really hard to make your children eat, and in fact your husband eats a variety of food, I'm kind of jealous. If then you were one of those people, then maybe this is not as essential for you. If, however, you've got a family of fussy eaters, knowing your go-to meals that you can guarantee feed them without any pushback or resistance is going to be important for meal planning. So keep this centralized list. I like to just have it in my phone in a pinned note on my notes app. And that way, when I'm meal planning, I don't have to use my brain too much. I can just go to my list of meals that my family will eat and meal plan from there. And then obviously, as we push the boundaries a little bit more, we introduce new meals, then they can get added to the yay, my family will eat this, we can put this on the meal plan kind of list. Now, in order to start expanding this list a bit more, I also have a separate list of meal ideas, things I want to try. And as a little bit of a bonus tip, if you have got fussy eaters, rather than going, here is a completely brand new meal that you've never seen before and looks really alien to you, try introducing things that they have never tried before or are not that fussed on alongside things that they already eat. This works especially well if you have children like mine who have autism and are quite resistant at times to new flavors, textures, or trying new things at all. But since I've been using this method of introducing new things, initially by just putting them on the table and eating these things in front of the children, and they have curiosity, like, oh, what's that? Can I have some? And then moving to having it on their plate, just getting them to consent to having something new on their plate can sometimes be a battle, but having it on their plate, even if they don't eat it or touch it, and then not freaking out and being upset about it being there is a big step. And then maybe just trying a small amount and then moving further along the line to actually eating new things. But have those lists on the go of things you know everyone will eat and things you're willing to try and you're working on, and it'll just take away some of the thought process when it comes to our meal planning. The next part of my meal planning process is absolutely nothing to do with food and more to do with what we've actually got going on during the week. And for this, I use either my Organised Life or Organised Gratitude planners, both of which are the daily versions of my planners. So the one I'm currently using is Organised Life and Gratitude. It's a 2-page a day planner as opposed to the Organised Life planner, which is a 1-page a day. But both planners have the facility to look ahead at your coming week and plan your meals accordingly. So if you've been following me a while, you'll know that I have multiple digital calendars to organise the stuff that is going on from here till pretty much the end of time. And the digital calendar helps because I can put in there the recurring things that happen every week, like swimming. I can put in things like dentist appointments, which get booked 6 or even 12 months in advance, as well as one-off things like birthday parties or after-school events, things like that. The first step of this meal planning for me going into my planner is to take the things coming up in the next week and copy them into my printed planner. Now, I have ADHD, so this really helps my brain to decode what is going on in this next week and really digest what needs to be done for meal planning, but also just planning out for the rest of the week, for home, for work, all that kind of stuff. You could, if your brain doesn't need this step, just do all this on your digital calendar, but for me, this step really, really helps. So I write down the members of the family across the top, and then down the side, I've got the days of the week, and I just slot into each box the general gist of what's going on. So which night is a swimming night, or which night is someone staying later in school for a club, which night the kids having friends over, anything like that that is going on that I need to know about goes into here, and then I can meal plan accordingly. Next, I literally take stock of what we have in stock. And this is really handy because it means that we're using up things that we already have, that have already been purchased before they go off. If I skip this step, this is where we end up with waste and throwing things out because they've gone off. So in the next page of my planner, we have got the meal plan, and I go through the fridge and the cupboards and write a list down the side of everything that we need to use up. Those ingredients go in that list. Now, from your list you've already made of things that you know you can make for your family, there'll be certain things that you'd like to always have in stock. These will be specific to each individual family. It's a good idea to keep in a separate note a list of these always in stock items, just stuff you always need. The specific cereal your children enjoy, things like milk, bread, whichever sauces you're partial to, whatever it is that you always use that's kind of a base product, maybe it's cheese, whatever it is, get it on that always in stock list to make sure you've got those things you always need. And if you've been around here for a while, you will have heard me talk about my backup system, which is quite simply for things that I know that we always use, I like to have one to use and one as a backup. And this doesn't just go for food, this goes for shampoo and hand soap and just generally the things that we always need in stock in the house. Rather than writing something on the shopping list, which we'll get to in a second, there's a system for the shopping list, but rather than writing things on the shopping list when we are out of it or nearly out of it, things get added to the shopping list when we have used the one that we are using. So we've come to the end of the toothpaste or whatever it is, and we take the backup one. And when we go into the backup one, then that gets added to the list. This has been such a game changer because it means that we're not dashing, wow, we need something right now, and end up having to buy things locally where they're more expensive. You can stock up on things and have them in backup when they're on offer, definitely for things like toothpaste that don't go off. You can end up saving so much money and ultimately saving so much headwork, hassle and upset, because if you come from a household like mine where your children have autism, for example, running out of things can cause them real upset. And this is just something, as their mum, I want to avoid at all costs. I don't want my children upset and melting down, and running out of things that they're accustomed to having, things they're expecting, can cause real upset. And it really blew my mind actually, because a friend of mine, I had a conversation with her, and she said that if she didn't have a certain thing in for breakfast her children were expecting, they'd just eat something else. And I was like, what? With no explanation, no consequences, no upset? She's like, yeah. So I don't think I fully understood that perhaps it is a problem that affects parents with children on the spectrum a lot more. But definitely, whether your child's on the spectrum or not, if they like their things a certain way, then making sure you don't run out of things with the one to use one for a backup system will be a game changer. And ultimately, if your children are super chill, it's just nice not to have to run out of the stuff you need and buy things last minute when they're more expensive. Based around what we've got going on that week coming up and the things we've got in stock that I need to use up, I then write my meal plan. It is a draft meal plan at this stage. It is subject to change, and I'll explain why later in the video. But it's a draft meal plan, so in my planner, I actually just use erasable pens, and that way I can move things around easily without making a mess. So I start by thinking about the nights where I know we're going to be super busy, things like swimming nights, nights where the children are in and out, or nights where we've got something specific going on, like they've got friends over, and I plan those meals first. Those meals have got to be either something I can prepare in advance, something I've batch cooked, or something super quick and simple that can be done. Then I fit in the other meals on the more chilled evenings where I've got a bit more time to actually cook at the time. Now we come over to my organisation station, which is a series of printables which are totally free to grab, by the way. You can use the link on screen or down in the description to grab these free printables, and you'll also have links to the frames and things that I use to set up this organisation station. The first element of my organisation station I'm going to draw your attention to is the centralised shopping list. Now the centralised shopping list is important. Perhaps I've realised how important it is for me since I've very recently been diagnosed with ADHD. I set this up because my family would say to me, "Mum, we're out of toothpaste," and I would then ultimately, if I didn't write it down or action it immediately, forget until they were next trying to clean their teeth and then they had no toothpaste and they was upset. So what I started saying was, right, when you take one out of the backup, and I still say this actually when they come and tell me we're out of things, right, don't tell me, because my brain is like a sieve. If you don't see me actually writing it here on this shopping list or actually ordering it in that moment, you may as well not have told me, okay? I send the children or my husband, whoever it is telling me that we're out of something, to go and write it on this centralized shopping list. And they take a whiteboard marker, which is what we use to write on these frames, and they write the thing that we need, hopefully because they've taken out of backup, not because we're totally out of it and it gives us that buffer, but they write that thing that we need on this centralized shopping list. I also have a shopping list on the go inside my planner on this meal planning page. And then I add to that shopping list not just the things that we are out of from the organisation station, but also the things missing from the things that we have in stock that I'm going to need to make the things on my meal plan. Then it is shopping time. Now this will look slightly different depending whether you're shopping in store or you're shopping online. If you're shopping in store, make sure you've got your actual list with you. This can look like taking a photograph, or I do actually have a digital version of my Organised Life Planner, including the meal planner. And sometimes if I'm shopping in store, I will fill that out and open it in the Good Notes app on my phone. I have got a full video explaining how to import digital planners and use them with a phone or a tablet. I'll link that video below if you want to take a look at that. If you're shopping online like I normally do, then I just go back and amend the order that I already booked at the beginning of the month. I add in the things from both the central shopping list and the shopping list on my planner. In fact, what I normally do is copy the central shopping list onto my planner. So I've got it all in one place. If you are shopping in store and you want to keep an eye on how much you're spending, then you can do scan as you shop. And obviously it's much easier to keep an eye on exactly how much you're spending when you are shopping online, because you've got the total in your basket and you can adjust this, taking out anything that isn't absolutely essential if your total price is looking a little on the high side. And please, please, please do not do what I have done in the past, which is amend all your basket and forget to check it out, because that's really annoying. So then when you've got all your shopping, you've either got your shopping from the supermarket, you've done your click and collect, or you've had it delivered, it's time to put it all away, which is not my favourite job if I'm honest, but you know, gotta be done. Now, as you're putting things away, make sure, and you might need to check this if you've got people helping you put things away, but make sure that the stock is being rotated, so the stuff that needs to be used first is at the front and is more likely to be grabbed. This is especially important for me for things like fruit that my children go and grab themselves to put in their bags, because if the newer stuff is at the front, they won't think, oh well, I need to use the older stuff first. They'll just grab the first thing to hand. So stock rotation, super important. It's also important to look at the dates on things and when they're going to need to be used up. And this is where my meal plan sometimes switches around a little bit. So if you're shopping in store, maybe you saw an absolute deal on something and you thought, oh, well, we'll have that instead of one of the meals, expired, or there was just a bargain. And if you've had the shopping delivered, maybe something wasn't available, or maybe you thought you'd have chicken first and mince the following night, but actually the dates work better to switch them around. So this is why I like to do my meal plan in a erasable pen and then make any amendments after the shopping's been delivered before I move the meal plan onto my organisation station. Yes, I've got a meal plan up here in the kitchen as well. And if it's just you doing the food and your family are really indifferent as to what is put in front of them for dinner, then maybe you don't need this step. But if it's sometimes your partner cooking, and if you've got children that like to know what's for dinner, like mine really, really do, then putting your meal plan in a central place in the kitchen can be a real game changer. It's made such a massive difference for me. It means I don't have to go and check my planner. I can just glance at the meal planner. And if my husband is actually free before me, then he is able to look at what I've got on the meal planner and start making dinner. Then remember, as you are cooking each night, to keep adding the things as you're using them from your backup back onto your centralized shopping list so the whole process can repeat. Some bonus tips. If you have to get things out to be defrosted, especially if it's the night before, or have to put things in a slow cooker earlier in the day, anything you've got to do that is not actually at your normal meal prep time, set yourself a little alarm or reminder for that on your phone so that you don't forget to do that, because there's nothing more annoying than needing chicken that's in the freezer and you forgot to defrost it. Very frustrating. Remember, you can practice flexibility where necessary. Just because it's on the meal plan, it's not set in stone. Your meal plan is not supposed to feel restrictive. It's supposed to give you breathing space and freedom, because you are not wasting time every single day going, oh, what we got for dinner? Oh, everyone's starving and stressed and hangry. Personally, I find it brings so much more ease and flow into my evenings, ultimately making my children happier and me far less stressed. And don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. If your family are quite fussy eaters and they're happy eating similar meals, which honestly mine are, consider having a rolling meal plan. You could do a 2, a 3, or even a 4 weekly rolling meal plan. And you can be like, week 1, we're having this, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Week 2, we're having these. And you don't have to think at all. A lot of school dinner menus work that way. It's because it takes work out of the process. If that works for your family, consider implementing that. On the flip side, if you love cooking, your family love trying new dishes and are happy to have a different thing every night, then absolutely do this, go you. It's finding a way of meal planning that works for your family, your preferences, and your lifestyle. So let me know down in the comments which of these meal planning tips you have tried or you are going to implement. I do my meal planning within my weekend reset, and if you want to see what I do during weekend reset, then you can check out the video on screen now. Check out my Patreon for some early release content and behind the scenes hanging out with me. Check out my planner store, and don't forget to download the kitchen organization station printables using the links below, and I shall see you guys soon. Mwah. Bye.